This is a quick demo for users, teams, and role-based access control. Starting with the demo organization, we can check the teams, right? And you can see we don't have any teams except the default owners team. So let's check how many users we have. Right now we have 4 users, user 1 to 4, and then Quay admin. So let's go back to the organization. We'll create a team. We call it team 1, 2. You can set some permissions at the repository level. We'll just skip it for now. So we can look at the team and the members. Now we can add user 1 as the member, and then we add user 2. So team 1, 2 now has 2 members, user 1 and user 2. So let's create another team, team 3, 4. The same, we'll just not configure any permissions at the repository levels now. And then we add user 3 and user 4. So right now we have 2 teams, and each team has 2 users. If we go back to the repository and look at the permissions, right now we don't have any permissions at the users or team level. So let's add team 1, 2. And here is the list of permissions. We give them right permission. So if we go to the organization and look at the default permissions. So let's create some default permissions. So for any repository created either by a specific user or by anyone, we need to set some default permissions, which is, for example, in this case, read permission, and this will be assigned to team 3, 4. We need to understand that those default permissions will not impact the already created repositories. So if we go to the repository and go to settings and look at the permissions, we can see that there is nothing changed because the default permissions will affect the new repositories only. So let's create a demo repository. And we go to settings. We can see now that team 3, 4 is assigned a read permission to this repository. If we now go back to the default permissions and let's create a new default permission, and this time let's assign the default permission to a specific user with the Quay admin, and we give this user admin permission. As expected, if we go to the repositories and look at the permissions, we will not see Quay admin assigned any permissions because, as we said, the default permissions will not apply to the existing repositories. Let's create another repository and then go to the settings. We can see that team 3, 4 is given read access while Quay admin is given admin access. And we can see this small icon indicating that this user is not part of the organization team, right? So because the user is not assigned to any teams inside the organization, but yet is given admin access to this new repository. So let's create a robot account to check that we can also create default permissions for the robot accounts. So we'll create a robot account, and in this case we can assign admin permission for this robot account even for the existing repositories. So if you go back to the repositories and check the permissions, you can see that the robot account is granted admin access to the repository. So if we go now and create a default permission, but now the default permission will be assigned to the robot account. So we created one for a team, one for regular user account, and now another one for the robot account. Let's also change the permissions for GUI admin to write only. As also expected, we don't see the permissions changed at the repository level. So changing the default permission rule will not impact the existing repositories. We can see it's still admin for all the repositories. We can change it now one by one from admin to write. So now if we create a new repository, we call it the last repository and create, let's look at the permissions now. We can see that the queue admin is given write, while the robot account is given admin, and our team 3.4 is given read only. Okay, and yeah, this is the admin, the owner of the repository. So once we are done, we can delete this organization. It means the organization along with the repositories, teams, and default permission rules will be deleted.